The Clockmaker's Curse. Theme: Don't waste your life. Long ago, between big mountains and thick forests, there was a quiet town called Pendulum's End. The town was beautiful, with small houses, flowers, and smiling people. But something was very strange about it. Nobody used clocks. There were no watches, no bells, no alarms. People woke up when they wanted. School started when enough children arrived. Shops opened when the owners felt ready. No one cared about time. People said, "We have all the time in the world." But there was one person who was different. He lived in a small, old house full of strange machines and tools. His name was Eleander Crick. People called him the Old Tinkerer, or the Clock Man. Eleander had white hair, a long beard, and always smelled like oil and wood. He fixed things, mostly old clocks and watches. But the townspeople didn't visit him. Some said he was crazy. Others said he was cursed. They didn't know one big secret: Eleander was the last clockmaker. In that town lived a 14-year-old boy named Finn Albrecht. He was curious. He liked to ask questions, too many questions, some people thought. "Why don't we have clocks?" he asked. "Why are people always sleepy? Why doesn't anyone leave this place?" No one had answers. People just smiled and said, "Everything is fine, Finn." But Finn wanted more. He wanted to know why life felt slow and empty. One morning, Finn walked past Eleander's little shop. In the dusty window, he saw a strange clock. It had no hands. Just a round, blank face. "That's weird," he thought. "How can a clock show time without hands?" He pushed the door open. A bell above the door made a small cough instead of a ring. The shop was full of strange tools, gears, and ticking sounds. Then a voice said, "Come in or go away. Don't waste the air." Finn stepped in. I wanted to ask about the clock in your window." Eleander came out from behind a curtain. His eyes were sharp, but not angry. "You mean the empty watch," he said. "It tells the most important time of all." Finn frowned. "But it shows nothing." Eleander smiled a little. "Exactly. Because most people do nothing with their time." Eleander and Finn sat at a table. The old man pulled out a small gold pocket watch. It looked normal, but its face was dark, like smoke. "This is my timekeeper," Eleander said. "It shows how much time someone is really using in their life." Finn laughed. "That sounds fake." Eleander handed him the watch. "Look for yourself." Finn opened it, and gasped. Inside the glass, he saw a tiny version of himself, just sitting, yawning, and sleeping. Around the tiny Finn, the gears moved very slowly. "That's me?" he asked. "Yes," Eleander said. "That's how you are using your life, very little." Finn looked sad. "How can I change it?" Eleander leaned close. "You must start using your time for real things. Learn, help people, explore, build, grow. Take chances. Try and fail, but don't waste your life." From that day on, Finn came to the shop every day. Eleander taught him how to fix clocks, how to listen to time, and how to build things with gears and tools. As Finn learned, he also began to see that something was wrong with the town. People weren't just slow. They were stuck. Nobody tried new things. Nobody dreamed big dreams. Everyone lived like they had forever. One night, Finn asked, "Why is this town like this?" Eleander looked serious. "Because of a curse," he whispered. "A long time ago, a time spirit visited this place. She offered the people a gift, freedom from time." "That sounds nice," Finn said. "It was a trap," Eleander said. "Without time, people forgot how to dream. They forgot how to hurry. They stopped caring." "Can the curse be broken?" Finn asked. Eleander nodded. "Yes, maybe. But someone must go on a journey. A hard journey. To find the time spirit. Again, and prove that someone in this town still values time." "I'll go," Finn said. Eleander laughed. You're just a boy." Finn stood up tall. "But I'm not going to waste my life anymore. Early the next morning, Eleander gave Finn a small bag. Inside were tools, food, a compass, and the timekeeper watch. Follow the ticking, Eleander said. It will lead you where you need to go. Finn walked across the quiet town. No one noticed him. No one asked where he was going. He stepped into the forest beyond the last house. Suddenly, the wind changed. Leaves whispered. A soft chime rang in the distance. And Finn smiled. He didn't know what he would find. But he knew this: he would not waste another day. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. Birds didn't sing. Leaves didn't rustle. Even Finn's footsteps felt soft, like the trees didn't want to wake up. But in his hand, the timekeeper ticked slowly. Tick, tick, tick. He followed the sound. Each step felt like he was walking into a dream. A strange dream full of shadows and light. Suddenly, the trees whispered. Why hurry? Where are you going? Stay here, forever. Finn stopped. Who's there? The whispers faded. He shook his head. No, I'm not staying. I'm not wasting time. He took a deep breath and walked faster. After hours of walking, Finn came to a small clearing. In the center was a stone bench, and on it sat a woman with long silver hair. She wore a dress made of leaves and moonlight. You've come far, she said. Finn blinked. Who are you? I'm a guardian of time, she said. I watch those who enter the forest of lost hours. Is that what this place is called? She nodded. Many enter. Few leave. They sit, they sleep, they forget why they came. Finn clutched the timekeeper. I won't forget. The woman smiled gently. Why are you here, child? I want to break the curse on my town. I want people to remember time, to live again. She stood and walked toward him. Then you must pass 3 tests. The first is simple: do not stop. No matter what you see. No matter what you hear. Finn nodded. Okay. She stepped aside and pointed to a path of shining stones. Follow the golden trail. Finn walked along the glowing stones. Suddenly, he heard a voice. Finn, it's your best day ever. Look. He turned and saw himself, older, stronger, happy. He was riding a dragon, flying over mountains, and holding a golden trophy. You did it. The dream, Finn shouted. You became great. Finn smiled, then shook his head. This is not real. He turned away from the dream. Next, he saw his parents, standing in a field of stars. Come home, Finn, they said softly. Stay here. Rest. Be safe. Tears filled his eyes. He missed them. But he whispered, I'll come home, after I finish this. He kept walking. Last, a beautiful girl appeared, holding a basket of fresh bread. Stop and eat, she said. You're tired. You deserve a break. Finn looked at her, then at the timekeeper. It ticked faster now. No, he said. I'll rest when I'm done. As he stepped past her, she faded away like mist. The path turned bright and clear. He had passed the first test. At the end of the trail, Finn found a table with 3 boxes. A voice spoke from the sky. 1 box holds truth. 1 holds lies. 1 holds nothing. Choose the truth, and you may continue. Each box was different. 1 was gold, shiny and perfect. 1 was wooden, rough and simple. 1 was black, with chains around it. Finn thought hard. The golden one is too perfect, he said. Maybe it's a trap. He opened the wooden box. Inside was a small card that said, Truth, time is not endless. What you do today becomes your life. The voice spoke again. You chose wisely. A door opened in the air. Bright light shone through it. Finn stepped inside. He stood in a great hall made of clocks. Hundreds, thousands of them, ticking, talking, chiming, spinning. At the center stood a tall figure in a cloak of stars. Her face glowed like the moon. Are you the time spirit? Finn asked. Yes, she said. Why are you here, boy? To break the curse, he said. My town is asleep. No one dreams, no one tries. They waste their lives. And you? She asked. Do you waste yours? Not anymore, he said. I want to live. I want to use time, not lose it. The time spirit looked into his eyes. You have passed the second test, truth of heart. Now comes the final test. Finn nodded. I'm ready. A giant clock stood behind the time spirit. Its hands were frozen. Its gears were stuck. This clock holds your town's time, she said. Fix it, and time will return. But how? She pointed to the floor. Tools appeared. Finn picked them up. He worked for hours, tightening, twisting, oiling, replacing gears. The timekeeper in his pocket ticked faster and faster. Finally, with one last click, the big clock began to tick. Tick, tock, tick, tock, the whole hall shook. Light flashed. Bells rang. You did it, the time spirit said. Now go. Wait them. Finn ran back through the forest. The trees were singing now. The birds chirped. Flowers bloomed in his footsteps. When he reached the town, something had changed. The sun was higher. The people were outside. Some were building. Some were painting. Some were talking about dreams and plans. Eleander stood in the square, smiling. You brought it back, he said. Time has returned. Finn looked around. It's not just time. It's life. From that day on, Pendulum's End was no longer slow. People still enjoyed life, but they also used their time. They worked, they created, they learned. And Finn. He became a builder, a teacher, and a guide. He told his story to every child who asked, and ended with these words, don't wait for life to happen. Time is a gift. Don't waste it. Months passed in Pendulum's End, and everything began to change. Shops now opened on time. Schools had lessons. People planted gardens, built new homes, and started keeping track of days and seasons. The old sundial in the town square ticked gently with soft music. Eleander restored it after decades of silence. And Finn. He became the youngest apprentice the valley had ever known. Children followed him around asking questions, and adults came to him for help. One morning, as Finn fixed a small wooden clock, a girl named Marla came running. Finn, she said, breathless. A strange man is at the edge of town. He says, he's from the city beyond the mountains. Finn rushed to the town gate. There stood a man in a long blue coat, carrying a suitcase full of strange gadgets. I'm Professor Aldrin Vale, the man said. A time scholar. I've been looking for this town for 15 years. Why? Asked Finn. Because no one leaves it. On every map, Pendulum's End is marked as lost. Finn smiled. It's not lost anymore. Professor Vale stayed for a week, amazed by the people and the story of the curse. He spoke to Eleander, studied the timekeeper, and wrote notes day and night. On his last day, he said to Finn, do you know what you did, boy? You didn't just break a curse. You reminded people that every second matters. Finn felt proud. But the professor's next words chilled him. Yet shadows remain. In every place where time was forgotten, regret is hiding. That night, as the town slept, Finn woke to a strange sound. Crack, tick, crack, he ran outside and gasped. The sundial in the square had split down the middle. Its golden surface now had a black line, running like a scar through its face. Eleander arrived, confused. This isn't from age, he said. This is from magic. Finn looked at the crack. Something's wrong. Just then, the timekeeper in his pocket began ticking backwards. Tick, tock, tick, tock. No, Eleander cried. Time is reversing. That means someone has unlocked a memory they weren't ready for. Who? Finn asked. Before he could answer, the wind howled. The sky turned dark. A voice echoed through the town, you fixed what you saw. But not what you left behind. The next morning, Finn found something in the field outside town. A single black flower. Cold, pulsing, and whispering. He bent close. I am regret, it said. I grow where time is wasted. More flowers appeared each day. At first 10, then 50, then hundreds. People became slow again. They stared at the sky. They forgot names. They stopped building. No, Finn shouted. We changed. We broke the curse. But Eleander looked grim. You broke the surface, Finn, he said. But regret grows in the past. Finn thought hard. Then I need to go back. Professor Vale returned just in time. With Eleander's help, he built a machine, the time gate. It used parts from the town's oldest clocks and power from the glowing sundial. Step through, said the professor. But be careful. The past is a dangerous place. Finn entered the gate. Light exploded. He landed in Pendulum's End, 20 years ago. The town looked the same, but the people were different. Younger, louder, full of life. He saw his own parents, just teenagers, laughing near the bakery. But something was strange. In the square, the people were gathering. A woman in white stood on a high stone. I bring you peace, she said. No more deadlines. No more rushing. Let time sleep. It was the time spirit, before she became wise. The people cheered. Finn wanted to stop her, to warn them. But Eleander's voice echoed in his mind. Never change the past by force. Only by showing the truth. So Finn walked through the crowd and shouted, wait. Please listen. People stared. Who is this boy? One woman asked. I'm from the future, Finn said. A future where no one remembers to live. They laughed. You're joking. I'm not, Finn said. He held up the timekeeper. This watch shows how much life you're using. It ticks when you dream. It ticks when you try. But most of the time, it's silent. He pointed at the crowd. You think stopping time is a gift. But without time, there is no growth. No change. No life. The timekeeper began ticking louder. Tick, tick, tick. The time spirit's face changed. Her eyes filled with tears. I only wanted to help, she said softly. Finn walked to her. You can still help. Let them choose. Not by fear, but by truth. She nodded. With a wave of her hand, the curse was never cast. Finn stepped back through the time gate. He arrived in the present again. The town was alive. People worked, danced, and dreamed. The black flowers were gone. Eleander hugged him. You fixed the root, not just the leaf. The sundial in the square shone bright and strong. Professor Vale opened a school to teach time science. And Finn. He became the town's first timekeeper guardian. He traveled to other sleepy towns. He told them stories. He showed them the ticking watch. And everywhere he went, he said, time doesn't wait. So why should you? Time moved forward in Pendulum's End. It had been 1 full year since Finn had fixed the curse and returned from the past. The town was now known across the land. Travelers came to learn from the people who once forgot time, and now used it wisely. The children were curious. The old people were active. No one wasted the day anymore. And Finn. He now carried the title, the Keeper of Living Time. He didn't just fix clocks. He fixed hearts. But one day, Eleander called him in. Finn, he said, your work is not done yet. Finn blinked. Why? We fixed the curse. The people are awake. The town is alive. Eleander walked to a tall shelf and pulled out an old map. This map shows all the places where time was stolen. Our valley was only the first. Finn looked at the map. Dozens of towns were marked in black ink. Some are worse than we were, Eleander said. Some have forgotten not just time, but hope. Finn nodded. Then I have to go. Eleander smiled. You finally understand. The next morning, the whole town gathered in the square to say goodbye. Professor Vale gave Finn a travel bag with tools and a new compass. Marla, now a young inventor, gave him a flying bird made of gears. Eleander gave him a final gift, an old bell. This, he said, is the last bell of time. When you ring it, you remind people that they are alive. Finn tied it to his belt. The sound was soft but powerful. Ding, ding. And with that, he left. Finn's first stop was a place called Grey Hollow. It was cold and dark. The sky always cloudy. The streets empty. People walked slowly, heads down, eyes dull. Finn knocked on doors, but no one answered. He tried to speak, but people didn't hear him. He climbed a high tower and rang the bell of time. Ding, ding, ding. At first, nothing happened. Then, a little girl looked up. She blinked and said, "What's that sound?" A spark lit in her eyes. She ran home and asked her mother, "What are we doing with our time?" Soon, more people woke up. They asked questions. They cleaned their windows. They planted flowers. The color came back to Grey Hollow. Next, Finn came to a strange land where people always said, "I'll do it tomorrow." The townsfolk were kind and friendly, but everything was delayed. They said, "Let's start a library." Then waited. "Let's learn to fly kites." Then forgot. "Let's build a school." Then yawned and said, "Tomorrow." Finn stood in the center of the village and shouted, "If you wait forever, your life will slip away." People laughed. "What's the hurry?" Finn sat quietly. He pulled out the timekeeper and showed them. It was almost silent. "That means, we're wasting it," one boy asked. Finn nodded. They stared at the watch. Then at each other. Then, something amazing happened. One man stood up and said, "Let's build the school today." The crowd cheered. The town was never the same again. The last town Finn visited was full of sadness. People wore chains around their wrists, not metal chains, but invisible ones. They said things like, "I'm not good enough. I can't learn. I'll just fail." They had built a wall around the town. Not to keep danger out, but to keep themselves in. Finn asked, "Why don't you try?" They answered, "What if we fall?" Finn nodded, then said softly, "Then you'll rise again." He found a tall bell tower in the middle of the wall. He climbed it and rang the last bell of time. Ding, ding, ding g. The sound broke through the sadness like sunlight. A little girl dropped her chain and shouted, "I can try." A boy climbed the wall and waved. An old woman opened a dusty book and began reading out loud. The wall cracked, then crumbled. The people ran free. And for the first time in years, they laughed. Years passed. Finn became known across the land as the boy who brought time back. He returned to Pendulum's End. It was even more beautiful than before. Time ticked, not to rush people, but to remind them, life is not forever. But it is enough, if you use it well. One evening, under the golden sundial, the now older Finn sat with a group of children. They asked, "Is the curse truly gone?" Finn smiled. The curse was never in the clocks. It was in the mind. In the belief that tomorrow is more important than today. A boy asked, "What if I'm afraid to try?" Finn took out the timekeeper. It ticked slowly in the firelight. "Everyone is afraid sometimes," he said. "But fear is not the enemy. Wasting your chance is." He stood, looked at the stars, and said, "You only live once. But once is enough. If you don't waste it." The bell of time rang one last time. Ding, ding, and the stars above Pendulum's End twinkled like 1,000 ticking clocks.